Welcome back to the Navigate Your Nervous System series. It's been so great to see all of you who have been participating the past week here on YouTube with the sympathetic nervous system activation and in the membership community with the fitting in activation of the vagus nerve. There's been some really deep insights going on there. And all of you who have downloaded the cheat sheet, you can go to melissawest.com/navigate if you haven't downloaded that cheat sheet to follow along there. This week here on YouTube, we're going to be focusing on the sympathetic nervous system again and the activation of the fight response. So we're going to start today's class standing, even though it's a yin class, to discharge some of that sympathetic activation before we come to stillness. So we're going to start with some shaking, just to discharge some of that excess energy. So anger, frustration, irritation, normal emotions, and they can feel like a lot of excess energy in our bodies, and so it's good to move them through. One way to do that is through shaking. Okay, the other way we can move that anger, frustration, irritation through is through stomping. So you can just stomp your feet. I'm in an apartment, so I'm not going to stomp very loud. If I was outside, I would stomp extra loud. But you want to stomp your feet, get all that anger, frustration, irritation out. Stomp as loud as you can in your environment. And if you're in an apartment like me, then the shaking is probably a better option because you can really get that energy through a lot more easily without disturbing your neighbors. So it's one of those reasons why, and this is what we're exploring more in the membership community, where we do that deeper dive, that fitting in response, where we have to fit in, where we have to sort of suppress our emotions. So yeah, we can't really move them through the way we need to. So stomping or shaking to move that excess emotions through. And then when that feels sufficient, we're going to lie down. You're going to come down and come into that position, either with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, or you can lie with your bolster underneath your knees. I'm going to sit and bring you through a centering. You're going to need a couple of blocks and a blanket for this class. Okay, if you have my book, you might want to follow along in this class. I'm teaching from my book in this class. I'm going to be starting on page 141. And just take a moment here to settle in. Feel the support of the earth. Notice how you're feeling in your physical body. Feel your breathing. Without needing to fix or change it in any way, just notice your breath coming in. Notice your breath coming out. Know that each breath is precious. Each breath is different. No two breaths are the same. So on that nervous system cheat sheet that a lot of you have downloaded, we're looking at the physiological responses of your nervous system under fitting in fawn in our membership community. Flight, we looked at last week with anxiety, and fight, we're exploring this week with anger, frustration, irritation, and we'll start to look at the freeze response in October. But all of them have corresponding emotions and behaviors, and those are all on that cheat sheet at melissawest.com/navigate. So the sympathetic fight response begins with irritation, it moves to frustration, and then anger and rage as the threat or perceived threat escalates. So anger, frustration, and resentment are the emotions associated with your liver organ system and wood element season. Frustration is a normal response to feeling blocked. So if you imagine a tree growing towards the sun in the forest, it's not unusual for a tree to get blocked by other trees. It's not unusual for our plans to get blocked by obstacles and hurdles. Like, for example, this morning we started trying to film outside in the park by the trees, and we moved several times, but there was just so much noise pollution around. We moved so many times, but we just couldn't find a spot that was quiet enough to film this yoga class. So the frustration level just kept rising and rising and rising. So it's a really normal human response that the nervous system responds with frustration, irritation, anger. And, we can take it out on each other. Our nervous systems are social, right? So Tim and I started taking it out on each other as well. It's just a normal nervous system response. So when we're trying to get somewhere, when we encounter an obstacle, we're going to experience frustration. So knowing that our nervous system is never wrong, knowing that it's always trying to protect us and keep us safe, let's just take a moment here and create some space, some compassion to be with the frustration in our life. So at whatever flavor of frustration, irritation is present in your life, instead of fighting it and saying, I'm so spiritual, I've been practicing yoga for over 20 years, over 30 years, over 40 years, I shouldn't experience anger. None of that. We're all just human. Let's just make space for anger, the normal anger that arises, or frustration or irritation, and be present with it. It's up to us to care for our nervous systems and the normal emotional responses that arise when our nervous system is protecting us, when it's caring for us. So let's just make space for whatever frustration, whatever irritation is present. Be present to it. And maybe you want to place your hands on your body somewhere. Maybe you want to say, I'm here for you, frustration. I'm here for you, irritation. It's not easy to experience that frustration. In some way, just be present to your frustration and irritation. And just notice what happens when you offer presence to, when you care for, and make space for that emotion of anger, frustration, irritation. When you have compassion for it, when you are being with it. Okay, you might want to form an intention for what you want to receive for this class. We're not trying to push the anger away, we're just going to be with it. We're going to come into our first pose, which is going to be toe stand, because your liver meridian starts at your big toe, it comes up the inside of your leg, goes up into your organ meridian, into your torso, into your organ meridian, into your liver, on your right side, underneath your rib here. If that's too much for your toes, you may have toe issues. You could stretch out your toes manually. You could massage the backs of your toes. You could put your toes against the wall and stretch them that way. All of that would be a little bit less. But if toe stands feels accessible, wouldn't that be nice? If it feels accessible, then I like to use a block under my knees. It makes it a little bit less intense. Whatever way feels right for you. You can join me or create your own version. Take care of yourself. We're all in charge of looking after our own bodies. Okay, and breathe here. If we lean forward, it's less. If we lean back, it's more intense. Remember to soften. And then you're going to release. Let that chi flow. It's a very intense pose. And then let's just lie on our backs and just feel the flow of chi here. And then you can make your way to a seated pose. I'm going to give you two options here. You can do wide knee child's pose, or you can do butterfly pose. The intention is to get the insides of your legs here. If you're joining me for a butterfly, feel the space underneath your knees. We're going to be in this pose for 5 minutes. Okay, you're going to find an appropriate edge. Soften. And be still. So we can stay for a while. We're going to stay for 5 minutes in this pose. I'm on page 149 of my book now, if you're following along in my book. So culturally, in our society, we view anger as a negative emotion. Nobody wants to experience anger arising within them or have anger expressed towards them. However, anger is an important emotion that comes up as a nervous system response, and our nervous system is never wrong. It's always protecting us. Anger is a protective energy. If you do not have enough anger, you will struggle to protect yourself, and you will struggle to protect the dignity of others. So when the normal sympathetic nervous system response of anger, frustration, irritation arises, you can ask yourself some important questions. What is coming up here for me to protect and restore? And what is it that I value that wants to be protected? So first we're with the anger, we give it space, we care for it, and then we get to the root of it because we recognize that we're protecting something and we ask, what are we protecting? What do we need to, what is it that we're valuing here that we need to restore? Okay, take a breath. And you're going to come upright. Let's breathe again. And then we'll go ahead and lie down, let the chi flow from that pose. Okay, from down here, we're going to do a side bend to get into the gallbladder meridian, which is paired with your liver meridian. So we're going to do banana asana, so you can bend to the side and take your arms overhead. You could also use a bolster or a blanket overhead to support your shoulders if your shoulders are tight. You're going to be in this pose for 3 minutes. So frustration is a normal response to being blocked when we're trying to get somewhere, whether it's an external goal, an inner healing journey, or a spiritual aspiration. The common emotions of irritation, resentment, frustration, and annoyance are important internal guideposts, triggers, or prompts drawing us back to archetypal questions like, what do I really want? What path through life best expresses my individual soul? What is the essential orientation and direction of my particular existence? And one of my absolute favorite questions is, what am I devoting myself to? So take a breath. Release this posture from your body. Come back to center. Let yourself feel the flow of chi. And then we're going to come into the side bend on the other side. So find that appropriate edge in your body. Choose a place to place your arms that feels good in your shoulders. You're going to be here for 3 minutes. Okay, take a breath. Back to the center. Feel the rebound. And notice how you're feeling in your body to have this time with your body, to pull and pressurize the meridians, to be soft and still and quiet, to be present with your emotions. And then you can bend your knees and roll to your side. And we'll come up to seated. And from here, you're going to get your blanket. And we're going to do dragonfly, wide-legged seated forward fold again to get into the inside of the legs where the liver meridian is. So take the time to set this up for yourself so you're comfortable. You're going to sit up on your blanket. Take your legs as wide as is comfortable so that you can stay for a while, because we're going to be in this pose for 5 minutes in the center, 5 minutes to the side, 5 minutes to this side. Somebody in the comments told me recently that they enjoyed that series because it reminded them of a class that I used to do a long time ago. It's the forward fold series, and I've been doing it a lot in my own practice too. And I'm really enjoying it too. So I'm glad you're enjoying it too. I've been enjoying going back to like some classic yoga things that I've been used to do years ago. It doesn't have to be so fancy. Okay, so we're coming into this seated forward fold. We're going to be here for 5 minutes. Soften, be still, stay for a while. Just enjoy being in the pose. So anger, when it arises, points the way to proper boundaries. It will come up when something or somebody has challenged our vision, our intention, our aspiration, our values, and what we stand for. Anger will also arise when you feel devalued or that somebody else is being devalued. So I'm on page 147 of my book now. These are all normal nervous system responses. Take a breath. And come upright. I'm going to pause here. And you're going to turn over your left leg and you're going to fold over your left leg now. You're going to be here for 5 minutes. So find that appropriate edge here. Soften. Be still. We'll stay for a while. So anger asks us to contemplate what we cherish, what we choose to respect and protect in our life. When we feel anger coming up in our emotional bodies, it is a skillful call to action to set and maintain effective interpersonal boundaries around our vision, our values, and uphold mutual respect in our relationships, including the one that we have with ourselves. So breathe at the sound of the bell. You're going to come upright again. Come through the center. Turn over your right leg this time and fold forward in a way that feels good to you right now. You're going to be here for 5 minutes. So we can remember when anger arises that we have qualities like wood element, like trees. Trees are flexible and strong, like swaying willow tree branches that won't break even when the wind is strong. Trees go upwards, but the roots are deep in the earth, receiving the nourishment of water, the yin nourishment of water element. And water element is all about listening, wisdom, and taking deep rest. And although much of the tree is moving upward, the branches also sweep downward, which is yin. And the bark on the tree is like anger. Those outer layers are important to protect the soft inner layers from harmful influence. So, some important questions that you can ask yourself, and you can always, once the pose is finished, timed, you might want to take some time for reflective writing. What boundaries am I protecting? And what is important to my innermost self? What boundaries am I protecting? And what is important to my innermost self? Breathe with the bell before you come out. And then you're going to come out of this pose very slowly. You were in the variations of this pose for a long time, for 15 minutes. So we're going to very slowly come out, especially for those hamstrings, because they're pulling and pressurizing on those hamstrings for a long time. I know we would think of counterposing a forward fold with a back bend, but I do find the instinct is to come in a bit after that. So listen to your body, what it needs right now. And let's just come down and feel the rebound after that. For the liver meridian, also a lot for the bladder meridian in that one. Okay, and when you feel ready, we're going to come back up to seated. Very happy to share this next part of the class with you. I have some acupressure points for your liver meridian, which are really great for relieving excess energy from the liver meridian. It's called Happy Calm. So you might want to sit up on your blanket again, just for some comfort. And you're going to need access to the top of your foot. So however that is going to work for you in a way that's most comfortable. I'm going to start with my left foot. I'm going to set my timer because we're going to do each foot for 3 minutes. So the place is between your big toe and your second toe. And you're going to use your middle finger because it's the strongest one for... you're going to slide back on that web, and you're going to slide back about 3 finger widths. It's before you feel the bone, but find that tender spot and you're going to press there. So this point, happy, calm, great rushing. It's great to release anger, frustration, irritation. It's also good for lots of other liver conditions like liver. Also, this meridian line, when it's out of balance, causes migraines, headaches. It causes menstrual issues. So it's good for those things. Yeah. If your fingers, like if you have arthritis in your fingers and this bothers you to hold it this way, you could take a pencil with an eraser on the end and use the pencil to press into the point. So that would take the pressure off your finger, off your foot, off your fingers, but keep it on the acupressure point. Okay, so you can release that side. Let's do the other foot. If you're doing this on your own, you don't have to do both feet. I just thought it'd be nice to do both feet. I'm really enjoying sharing this with you. So between your first and second toes, you'll feel the web between the two. You're just going to slide back. Just feel where it feels tender. You're going to press there. And we'll do this for 3 minutes again. And this point is called happy calm or great rushing acupressure point. We're holding it for 3 minutes. Okay, and then you can release that. And you can find your way down into your final resting position, into Shavasana. This poem is by Annie Lightheart. It's called A Great Wild Goodness. One morning, I was looking out the window when a great wildness came over me. I wanted to be kind to everything. I promised not to kill the spider on the wall. In the cold, I took the dog for a long walk she'd been wanting. I fetched the trash can lid for an ornery neighbor. It did not, just then, add a single adjective to his name. I went back inside to laundry and dishes with a clean heart, such as I have never had. Before dinner, the wild goodness bellowed, "Too tame, too tame." So I went outside without my coat and shouted poems up the alleys until my children came home with their small, warm hands. Then we ate bread in the kitchen, unafraid to be happy. The stars and the wild darkness were right over our heads. So reflect back on your experience of this class and notice what stands out to you, what seems most important. Maybe there's one small thing that you're going to take with you from this class, off your mat and into your life. And when you're ready, you can start to wiggle and stretch out. Roll to your side. And slowly make your way up to seated. So thank you so much for being here today. I just thoroughly enjoyed our time together today. If you made it all the way to the end of this class, please leave your comment. I made space for anger today. So I know that you practiced all the way to the end. I read all your comments. I respond to all your comments. I love hearing from you guys. And if you haven't already, make sure you go to melissawest.com/navigate to get your Navigate Your Nervous System cheat sheet so you can follow along each week. So you know the emotions that go with what we're focusing on for the week. And our members are going deeper with the fitting in response in September and the fawn response in October. So if you'd like to join us there, we're having some really great insights. I know I have been having some great insights about that fitting in response there. So we'd love to have you join us there as well. And, you know, there are so many ways that you can support yourself, each other, us here as a community. You can like this video, you can comment, you can subscribe to the channel, you can share it with others who you think would enjoy it. All these things help us as well. So I'm sending you much love from beautiful British Columbia. May your joy be as deep as the Pacific Ocean. May you be as rooted as the old growth trees in our forest, and may you be as strong as our mountains.